Helen Linton Gough is a writer born in 1899 from Australian mother and Irish father. As a teenager, she began to write poetry under the pseudonym Pamela Linton Travers. Her fame is linked to a novel for children, Mary Poppins, 1934, a strange governess of which she wrote to ease the pain of her own sisters, troubled by the depression of their mother. It was an unprecedented success that opened the door to 7 more episodes of The Magical Nanny. In 1964, a film was made by Walt Disney that won 5 Oscars. Pamela Travers died at the age of 96 in London. London, early 20th century, 17 Cherry Tree Lane. Mr. and Mrs. Banks live here with their twins John and Barbara and their eldest children Michael and Jane, who made Katie and Anna run away. But as soon as the latter quits, a curious woman appears at the door wearing a hat, a carpet bag, and an umbrella, carried by the east wind. The nanny appears slightly grumpy, vain, but with a touch of magic. In fact, right from the start, she seems to do magical things that make children curious. She climbs the stair on the handrail, she has a magic bag that seems empty from which everything comes out, and a magic syrup that changes flavor according to the tastes of those who taste it. She's Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins is friends with Bert, a matchmaker in rain and street painter in London in the sun. It's with him that she spends all her days and with whom she walks in enchanted worlds, entering his paintings. Thanks to this, Michael and Jane will have timeless adventures. They will have a party floating through the ceiling with Uncle Albert. They will travel around the world with a compass and meet a red cow, a friend of Mary Poppins' mother, who keeps dancing because of a star stuck in her horns. And finally, for Nanny's birthday, they will find themselves in the zoo at night, where they will discover that humans are in cages and animals can talk instead. In the end, Mary Poppins opens her umbrella and is carried away by the west wind, without saying goodbye to the children, but leaving them with a nice memory of herself. The book and the film have several differences, starting with the house, which in the novel is described as shabby and small, while in the film it's an elegant and well-kept house. In the novel, Pamela Travers writes about characters that are missing in the film, including the twins John and Barbara and Red Cow. Bert, on the other hand, in the novel is a matchmaker and street painter who appears in only 1 chapter, while in the film he's the narrator, he's a chimney sweeper, and is almost always present. However, in both the movie and the novel, he's very friendly with Mary Poppins and has a real devotion for her. In the film, Mr. Banks is a man who does not tolerate the cheerfulness that Mary Poppins brings into the house, but he only thinks about work and he neglects his family. His wife, on the other hand, is a suffragette who defends women's rights and is focused on fighting for the right to vote. That's why she puts all the responsibility on the nanny. In the book, however, both characters play marginal roles and we know nothing about them. Instead, for the plot, in the film, there's a common thread that gives meaning to the story, a growth of the protagonists, while the novel is a sequence of episodes not linked together except by the presence of the same characters. Mary Poppins is a very poetic novel capable of transporting readers into situations where the extraordinary and the fantasy are experienced as normal. The doubt that reality is magic or magic is reality assails the Banks siblings when at night they see Mary and the owners of the sweet store brushing the sky with glue to attach stars created with gingerbread wrappers. The book knows how to transport us with the power of imagination, warning us that this will only get us far enough away from reality not to risk losing the magic of childhood. As far as the passage from childhood to adulthood is concerned, the episode of the twins Barbara and John talking with each other, with a starling and with Mary, is exemplary, a passage that explains how becoming an adult makes us sacrifice our ability to communicate with everyone. The need to look for opportunities to be happy and free and the need not to settle emerge in several moments of the book, such as when at the zoo the sides are reversed with people in cages. It's also clear the theme of the search for the key to happiness that each person must find and the meaning of life. Another surprise is the character of Mary Poppins. In the book, in fact, her complexity emerged. She knows how to combine rigor with unexpected moments of understanding. She's always fair, she knows how to add poetry to everyday life, she's strict, and she does not give in to whims, but knows how to respect the children's time. For this reason, Mary is the only adult who has not lost her sense of childhood. One of the many teachings of the magical nanny is to never judge things by their appearance, urging both adults and children to analyze the aspects of things. It's a fantastic world in which rationality is broken by magic, but not only. It describes the importance of dreams, leading the reader on a path of self-knowledge. The moral, however, is only one. Dreams and imagination can shape reality, a thought shared by Walt Disney himself in one of his quotes: "If you can dream it, you can do it." What led me to choose Mary Poppins is definitely the fact that I've known the Mary Poppins of the Disney version, which is totally different from the one told by Pamela Lyndon Travers. The Mary Poppins that our creator tells us is a strict, touchy-feely, and conceited woman. The magic is perhaps the only characteristic that makes her sympathetic in the eyes of the readers. Disney Nanny, on the other hand, is rather strict, but at the same time more kind, cheerful, and loving towards the two children banks. She is less vain and selfish and much more understanding of the two children than the nanny in the original stories. My choice is also justified by the fact that a multitude of current themes and their importance are addressed in Mary Poppins. What struck me most was to see the juxtaposition of two different attitudes towards life and education, two ways of thinking. On the one hand, there's the rationality typical of adults, and on the other, the importance of fantasy and imagination, typical of the world of children. In fact, in the story, the development of events will lead adults to open up to the point of view of children, and children to gradually become aware of the difficulties and problems that can be encountered in the adult world, and therefore they need to accept rules. Nothing is left to chance. The great absentees from the literary work are, of course, all the songs and dances that have made the film a masterpiece and one of the most beloved classics of all time.